So this is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. These are Mac Tools wrenches. I bought this set of wrenches about 8 years ago off the tool truck for $450. That purchase led me to wanting a set of these. You can see it's the same basic design, but they're ratcheting and they're flex head. I asked the Mac guy how much a set of these was. I love these ones. How much was a set of these? They were almost $800. This set is from Icon. I got these on sale for $180. All right, so there's something I really want to talk about today. It has to do with tools, tool trucks, big box stores, different brand situations, scenarios with tools. And I can already feel the comments coming in, you guys. This video is going to have opinions in it, it's going to have generalizations in it, but it's going to have a couple stories in it that are absolutely pathetic. So let's get started. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel for another discussion-based video. As always, when we do these videos, we just kind of talk about stuff. Car culture, automotive industry, tools, that kind of thing. Today what I wanted to talk about is a massive problem that I've seen across the board with the tool trucks. Things that are directly affecting the consumer, us, the technicians, and also things that are affecting the tool trucks, and why I think these two things kind of come together and cause issues, right? First of all, I want to say the people that get caught up in brand loyalty with tools, you know, they have to have one specific brand of everything. I personally never really understood that. There's cheap junk, there's expensive junk, there's stuff everywhere in between. So what I think you have to do to get tools that work for you is, you know, determine how often you're going to use this thing, and you have to do research to figure out, you know, what's bad, what's good, what's going to work for you, what maybe you can skimp on, what you should spend some money on. Just because a tool is made in a specific place or comes off a specific shelf doesn't necessarily mean it's inherently good or bad. You have to do your research, and most of this comes from experience using the tools, and you're going to find out really quick what works for you and what doesn't in your application. First thing I want to say is that's exactly what I've done. I don't really have any specific brand loyalty. Yes, there's brands that I like over others. I love Milwaukee tools, love my Snap-on tools. I love a lot of the Harbor Freight stuff I have. So just as an example, let's look at a few things really quick. Classic bottom of the barrel Pittsburgh. Here's a Snap-on. Then we got an Icon. This guy right here is Knipex. Here we got another Snap-on set, which will reiterate the story on this, which pertains to this whole video. Even got an example here from Hart Tools, which is a line specifically made for Walmart. Alright, so that out of the way, you can see clearly, and if you watch the channel for any length of time, we have a lot of variations of different brands, models, and you know, there's no real brand loyalty in this shop. I have things I like, I have things I don't like. And again, a lot of it's going to depend on how often you use said tool. I have a Weaver press over there. Weaver, in my opinion, is a very good, inexpensive option for tools and equipment. Do I use the press every single day? No, I don't. If I did, I'd probably get something a little higher quality than the Weaver, but for the occasional wheel bearings that I have to press in, that Weaver press it's suited me very well. So again, a lot of this is based on your application. There is this huge problem, conflict going on in our industry with the tool trucks, and there's a few different points I want to cover here, but I have had, as of recently, a few very, very terrible experiences with the tool trucks. Now, why is that? The first thing that we talked about a while ago, so I'm not going to go through the entire thing again, and again, a lot of this is going to have generalizations in it. When you get a tool truck, the way it works is somebody owns that franchise. There's a specific driver for that route. Well, sometimes you're going to get a bad driver. Does that mean that the tool brand is crappy? No. I mean, maybe they have to vet some of these people, and ultimately, it's my belief that if you're a bad tool guy, if you run your business poorly, you're not going to be around that long anyway. So they kind of get weeded out on their own. But over the span of the last 12 months or so, last year, I've had an issue with the Snap-on truck, and I've had an even bigger issue, which is honestly super embarrassing, on the Mac Tools truck. And it's unbelievable, you guys. So I came from the Toyota dealership, and when I was there, we had a Snap-on guy consistently, we had a Mac Tools guy consistently, and occasionally we would have a Cornwell guy. I like Cornwell. It was a nice option for, you know, you don't want to spend Mac and Snap-on money. There was Cornwell, which you still had a rep, they had warranties, price was a little bit better. If he might watch this, you know, I don't know, but I liked our Cornwell rep. He was a really nice guy. He didn't come around that often. Like, if at all. I'd see him once, and then he'd be gone for 2 months, and then maybe we'd see him again, and then he was gone for 3 months, and I think that was the issue. So a lot of us at Toyota didn't buy a lot of Cornwell stuff, because if you're never going to come around, if I have a warranty, or I want you to look at something, or I want to buy something else and add on, you know, whatever the case may be, I can't do that if you don't show up. So that's kind of the first thing I wanted to touch on. People are having these issues across the nation. I'm seeing this, I'm hearing it from coworkers and other techs, where the tool trucks just aren't showing up like they used to. Well, if you need to warranty something and you're using your tools every day to make a living, that really isn't very convenient now, is it? When I went out on my own, I started this shop, you know, it's just me here, so it's hard to get a tool truck to stop at my shop because I'm the only potential customer. And I completely understand that. You know, if you have to stop for one person and there's a chance you don't get a sale that week, I understand where you can't fit me in your route. And I'm perfectly fine with that. If I need something, I drive down to Toyota. I know when the trucks come and I just buy it there. It's not a big deal. At this point in my career, there's not a ton of Snap-on Mac things that I really want to add, because in my experience, the way it worked is, you know, the first couple years, you kind of build up your hand tools, your wrenches, your sockets, all of those things. At this point in my career, I mean, we just bought the tire machine. I'll put a clip in here of that, but this is the type of equipment I'm buying now. I'm buying, you know, just that. It's equipment. I don't really need a ton of hand tools anymore. You know, I kind of have most of that 11 years into my career. And Harbor Freight, Icon, even some of the Pittsburgh stuff has gotten so good. The Icon stuff is ridiculous. Is it exactly the same as Snap-on? No, it's not. I don't care who you talk to, it's not. A lot of it's made in Taiwan, so it's not China. They make a good product, and they are increasingly getting better and expanding into more and more things. I just bought an AC sniffer from Icon. It was like I think it was like 160 bucks versus the Snap-on one was like $700. They do essentially the same thing. Is it as good as the Snap-on one? I don't know, you know, but for the price of that one, I could replace it multiple times for the $700 I buy the Snap-on tool. That's just, and that's part of it, is these tool trucks are starting to feel the stress of people saying, you know, I've had enough of paying this absurd amount of money for a quality tool. Mind you, Mac makes good tools, Snap-on makes good tools, but if their price is here and I can get Icon at this price down here, and if there's one local to me, I just have to drive there and it's a no questions asked warranty, that's fantastic. And that's just it, is the no questions asked warranty. When I go on the Snap-on truck, when I go on the Mac truck, if I'm paying these premium prices, and a lot of what you're paying for is the service of that tool truck coming to you and warranting out your tools, making sure that you're all good to go. That's part of what you're paying for. We talked about this set before, so I'm going to keep this short. The T-handle for my tap set, my $400 Snap-on tap set, crapped out. I went to use it one day and the little spring adjuster just flew out of there and it got all cockeyed and it was junk. I tried forever to warranty it, and finally, you know, after talking to Snap-on, all these things, I got in contact with my old Snap-on guy and he's like, oh yeah, I can warranty that for you. I got one, but it was a huge issue for a while. Their argument was that they updated the problematic T-handle design and now they wanted to sell me a whole new kit. And it's like, are you serious? I paid $400 for this. If you updated the part because you knew there was an issue, you give me the updated version of that part per my lifetime warranty. That's how that works. So that was kind of situation number one. Now, situation number two, this is where this gets really good. I had literally the worst experience with the local Mac Tools rep. I'm not going to say his name, but if you know who he is, you know, too bad. This completely warrants this bad exposure for this guy. I'm in my shop here. Right across the street is a transmission shop, and I noticed that the Mac Tools guy stopped there every Tuesday, right? So I go on lunch, I walk down to Subway, I'm walking in as he's walking out, I say hi to the guy, right? And I said, I don't mean to bother you on your lunch break. If you're gonna go over there, I can talk to you then, but I'd be interested in getting a business card. And he said, yeah, but you could tell he wasn't in, you know, a great mood. He's like, come on up. So I get in his truck, he hands me a card. So I introduced myself, I explained to him that I'm in the shop across the street from his stop over at the transmission shop. And I said, are you there, you know, every Tuesday morning? Is that usually when you're there? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you know. And then I verbatim, word for word said, I'd be interested in being a customer. There's some tools that I would like to buy, and I have a few broke-ins. And as soon as I said that, he goes, well, these are for my customers. And I looked at him and I was like, excuse me? And he goes, I'm not going to warranty your stuff. Like, this is, that service is for my customers. You'd have a better chance at calling corporate. And I just looked at him and I said, I asked for a business card because I would like to be a potential customer. And he goes, yeah, I guess we could try it out. And I said, look, dude, I'm offering to go over there so you don't have to make an extra stop. I realize that I'm just one guy and, I'm across the street. So if this is on your schedule and I'm willing to be a customer that's buying tools from you, I will come over there so you don't have to make an extra stop. And I explained that to him and he's like, yeah, we'll see, we could try it out. I literally took his business card, threw it on the ground and walked off the truck. Never talked to him again. I reached out to a few buddies locally here and asked them what their experience with this distributor was, and they all kind of were like, not really caring one way or the other. But I couldn't believe this, you guys. Like, this guy flat out just like slapped me in the face. I was offering to give him more business and to come over to a stop he's already at. So no extra work. I didn't ask him to stop at my shop on his route. I just said it would be nice to have a dealer again so I could buy some tools, and then maybe I shouldn't have said anything about having some tools to warranty, but that's part of the business. I'm gonna have things to warranty, and if I'm willing to buy things from you and go out of my way to go over there to give you my business potentially, you don't have to be an asshole. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. You are in the customer service industry and that's how you're gonna treat people? Really? All right, I digress. Calm down a little bit. But this, to me, that's absolutely ridiculous. But I think part of the problem right now, you guys, is these other options, whether it's Gear Wrench, Icon, Harbor Freight, these other options are improving so fast and expanding so fast. And I know you get a Snap-on, you get a Mac, they're great quality tools, and you're paying for that service. But at a certain point, if this wrench set is $700, this one is $180, Give me 1 second. So this is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. These are Mac Tools wrenches, zero offset, long reach. I love these guys. I bought this set of wrenches about 8 years ago off the tool truck for $450. That purchase led me to wanting a set of these. You can see it's the same basic design, but they're ratcheting and they're flex head. So at the time, I asked the Mac guy how much a set of these was. I love these ones. How much was a set of these? They were almost $800. This set is from Icon. I don't know if that's going to pick up there. I got these on sale for $180. So it went from almost $800 to under $200. Made in Taiwan. And you can see here, you can get a lot of leverage on these guys. It'd be easy to abuse them. I've literally warranted one. In the 5 years I've had these, I've warranted one. And I went in there, brought the broken, they opened a new set, gave it to me, no questions asked, done. So there's something to be said about the fact that people, especially technicians who are buying all your own tools, it's hard to justify $800 when there's an option like this for, a fraction of the price. And I think that the tool trucks are feeling that. That stress is hitting them, but in my opinion, and I've never owned a tool truck, if that's the case, you think you would up your customer service and be super happy if someone reached out and wanted to do business with you. So that's what I had for you guys today. A couple experiences on the tool truck that certainly don't make me want to go spend my money there again. What do you think about this? Is this price differential and kind of seemingly the lack of service, the tool guys not showing up, in my case, not being very accommodating, straight up actually being rude? Is this a recipe for disaster for all the tool trucks? And with names like Icon expanding and advancing so much seemingly, do you think that in the future maybe the tool trucks will be a thing of the past, or are they always going to be around? If you guys enjoyed today's discussion video, drop me a comment down below, like and subscribe if you've not already, and as always, we'll catch you next time.